Okay, we are live on YouTube. Big hello to all the YouTube people who are watching
Jai
this session from
Gurudev.
all across the world.
Om Namah Shivaya.
And yes. I would request everyone who is watching this session, please keep yourself on mute so that we can hear to Hitu ma'am. And I'm just putting everyone on mute and then we will start. Yes. And Hitu ma'am, just before starting the session, I would like to tell you that we are doing this session from past 1.5 years. And this session is having a purpose. The purpose is to bring smile on each and every face we see, to make life a celebration in this planet. And the third is we should not get satisfied by doing this. We should become a volunteer and also eradicate sadness and depression from the people, make them also happy, create a stress-free and a violence-free society. And this is Gurudev's vision, and we have taken Gurudev's vision and made it our mission. And we have a slogan also: Gurudev's vision is our mission. Sattva talks. And uh, man, these sessions are very informal and candid. You can say it's a group of devotees came together. Obviously, I guess it's a day in Canada and but a night in India. So all across all the people in India gathered together at a night in a rainy season, and we are just exploring things. And ma'am, I'd just like to take the opportunity to introduce you also to the group. So, talking about her, she's a rare combination of a committed scientist, social activist, and a teacher of yoga and meditation. Uh, she was particularly drawn to the powerful techniques offered by Art of Living. Since then, she became an acclaimed international teacher for Art of Living Foundation, and at present, she is the president for the foundation in Canada, Art of Living Foundation in Canada. And she had talking about her. I have just seen her video on YouTube and shared also. She has done a lot of work in those regions in Africa where there was so much of stress and trauma, and she have spent years in Africa and all, in and many corners of the world, spreading Gurudev's knowledge, making people do meditate and eradicating stress from their life. And Didi, today the topic is also very interesting. That is faith, relying on the unseen. So, my first question to you is the thing which we can't see, which we don't know, but still how we can get connected to that, how we can have faith towards the unseen. Yes, over to you.
Thank you, Abhishek. Do you want to spotlight the? Yeah, so I can see everybody. Good morning, everybody. Good morning from Western Canada. If you're on video, you can turn it on so it will help me see you. It makes it more interesting for me if I see the faces there. Jai Gurudev. Um, Thank you for having me on this uh, episode today, Abhishek. Yes, faith and relying on the unseen. This has been my story with the art of living. From the very beginning, becoming more and more anchored in oneself and having to solve problems, make decisions when situations around me have not been, very easy. So this is what Gurudev's lesson to me has been in all over these years, is to really get grounded and founded in oneself, so that all those insecurities or worries or fears that one carries with us, we can shed that. And that, for me, that is what faith is about. Faith is about having this one pointed um, trust and uh, reliance, if you like, on something much bigger that is carrying you, that is looking after you, that is, um, in effect, even solving your problems for you. Yeah.
Yes, Didi. Didi, tell us something about your journey because you are a scientist. And we have heard that the schedule of scientists is too much hectic, I can say, and they are too much involved in their project which they are doing. So, how Art of Living came across, and how
Yeah.
you became a teacher, and not and you have also started traveling, and how this journey came, how it unfolded, if you can tell.
Yeah. So it's my journey with the art of living started, I would say, consciously, back in 1999. But I would say the search was on even before that. So when I was doing my PhD, it was in a very specialized field on arthritis research. Um, and it was during that time that I began to realize, how Gurudev says that science and spirituality are the two sides of the same coin. They're married to each other. So more you discover things, more you learn, more you realize that you're venturing into the field of the unknown. Yeah. And that's where questions start to arise, like what more is there, and the issue of faith, faith is so much also part of scientific research, because you cannot move further in any field unless you have faith and confidence in what you're seeing in front of you right now, and research is founded on that, right? So questions started to arise during that time, and it was obvious to me even back then as a student that I needed to do something else down the road, that I needed to be there with people, that I needed to um, be useful to people in another way. So that's where the search began, I would say. And then the rest was history. Slowly, as I said earlier, things fall into place when you're looking in a particular direction. The universe starts to support and guide, and even though there may be bumps, there may be lots of obstacles and hurdles on the way, little steps are made in the direction for you so that you can carve your way forward. So that's how it started with art of living during that time. Yeah.
Yes, Didi. Didi, today, as we are seeing in this world, mental health has become a big thing. And we know that Olympics is going on in Japan. And few athletes have told that I will not participate because my mental health is not in the thing, right
Mm.
position, I can say. Didi, when as a teacher, you come across a lot of people and they are smiling. In means when we see them, we don't understand that okay, there is such a storm of thoughts which is going inside their mind. So, and Didi, today as we see how means I just recently did an advanced course and I found that Gurudev was telling about the point Shraddha, and in that he told faith on something we don't know. And when I see those people like who are like having a difficult time in their life, they don't have something to rely on. Like as an art of living volunteers, we have Gurudev. So Didi, how you deal with them and what
I
is the
don't think
gravity of this?
Abhishek, I don't think we can generalize like that and say that they don't have anything to rely on. Everybody, every soul on this planet relies on something, right? Otherwise life would not move forward. Yeah. Something inside each one of us beckons, and it calls out to us to say, look, wait, you're being looked after, you're being taken care of. And this is why every human being on this planet, whether they are a believer or non-believer, they have faith and trust in something, even if it is in themselves, or even if they're not really realizing what it is that they're having the trust in or faith in. But the bottom line is everybody has it. Life cannot move forward without faith. You cannot put one step forward without faith. You go to the bank, you withdraw money because you have faith that the teller or the bank machine is going to give you money. You invest in something because you have faith that it's going to give you some form of return. So in every sphere of life, faith plays a role. Life cannot exist otherwise, right? For us, yes, as devotees, art of living, volunteers and teachers, it becomes even more tangible because we have Guruji there, right? We have Guruji, we have a form that we can connect to. But underlying everybody's life, faith is a fundamental part of everyone's existence. And when mental health issues arise, it is because somewhere that is shaken. I would say, there's some insecurity or lack of confidence that can trigger those kinds of stresses that later give rise to more severe issues, mental health issues. And that's where spirituality is required. Spiritual strength is required. The practices are required so that you're firmly anchored in yourself, and that confidence and faith prevails through every action, through every step that you take in life. And that is fundamental to every soul. Yeah. Mental health can be...
When we see...
Yeah?
Yes, Didi, please.
No, I said mental health is an issue for everybody right now, especially right now with COVID and all the other stresses that people are facing, and it is really important at this time that we seek that comfort in ourselves, and that is what spiritual strength is about. Being connected to yourself, and that is being connected to something bigger, because we don't really know who we are. Right? So through the practices that we are given by Gurudev, that makes it a little bit more accessible and easier for us, I would say.
Generally, when we find ourselves in some trouble, then we see that, okay, there is some financial crunch. That's why I'm having this stress and all. There is so much office politics going on. We always blame situations like these things are happening. That's why we are irritated or we are having some depression and all. But uh, in on the other side, we see in the life means like in some countries, these countries are developed countries. They have all sort of luxuries and comfort, but then also the people fall in depression. So Didi, what is the root cause why these people fall in this and they start thinking like there's nothing left in life? Yes, Didi.
Our own mind, right? It's like Guruji says, we need to learn, we have to have the skill to handle our own mind, handle our own emotions, and that is for every human being goes through that. It's not Western country, Eastern country, this culture, that culture. No, it's every human being. We're all the same. The mind is there, emotions are there, ups and downs in life are there, events come and go, challenges are there. Every soul faces this, right? And we cope in different ways. In many places where I've been, in very, very hard conditions, very difficult, uh, under places that have seen war and trauma, I would say that people have even more resilience because they have had to rely on the unseen. They have had to rely on something beyond themselves to cope with day-to-day challenges, survival. Right? So the inner strength is very much there. Yeah. But this issue of depression, mental health issues that we're seeing, this is all pervading today. It's cross culture, cross borders. Everyone experiences it. We cannot say it's in this part of the world more than the other. Everyone is experiencing it. They may be experiencing it in different contexts, in different situations, but ultimately it's having to handle oneself, one's own mind, one's own ups and downs, insecurities. And this is where the practices are universal. You know what Gurudev teaches us, they're universal, they're applicable to every human being. Yoga is universal, right? Being connected to oneself and recognizing your true source, your true nature. This is what we need to bring to everybody in the world, so that lives can be happier, can be lighter, can be more fulfilling, and people don't unnecessarily need to carry stresses and burdens when there are tools that they can use to relieve themselves from that.
Yes, Didi, I have seen your video, and you have been in such places where there was so much of trauma. And obviously, because of war and other things, the male population have gone down, and most of the people were females. Didi, when you went there, obviously, uh, when you saw all the things, what was going on in your mind? And if you can share some stories of Africa while you were doing seva there.
Yeah, there were some very difficult countries that I was in. Gurudev has sent me to Central Africa for quite a few years, Chad, Sudan, conflict areas. And I remember one phone conversation with him, in the middle of all of this, because I hadn't seen him for a couple of years, and he was at the Canadian ashram on one summer, during Guru Purnima. All my friends were there, and I was stuck, far away on my own, in these sorts of places. And my heart was like breaking. I just so badly wanted to see him, to speak to him, to hear his voice. So I called, and after a few attempts, when he finally I got him on the phone, I burst into tears because I was missing him. And at that point, all I needed was just to hear his voice, the sound of his voice. And he stayed on the phone. He listened to me crying and sobbing, and in the middle of all that, he was prompting questions from me, asking me about the work, what was going on, just to distract me because I was crying. And at the end of the conversation, he said, "You just conquer that region with love." I remember those words. "You just conquer that region with love." And then I asked him, I said, "Guruji, when am I going to see you?" And he said, "Oh, I see you all the time." And then he put the phone down. "I see you every day," he said. "I see you every day." And then he put the phone down. So for me, this whole reliance on even the unseen form of Gurudev has been there from the beginning, and he's taught me that. Because you cannot always pick up the phone and ask him questions and have him solve your problems and be there physically. So you need to rely on the Guru principle, on the knowledge that he's given us, and that's been my way of living my life ever since. Those places were very difficult. Living conditions, even for me, were very difficult. Things are not accessible. One story, I've told this many times. It was in I was on the border of Sudan and Darfur, the Darfur region of Sudan, which was conflict there was wars happening, and Chad, just on the border there, doing courses for the UN peacekeeping mission, the civilian and military staff, trauma relief. And I went there. I don't know how it all somehow worked out, and I had to get on the UN planes, and I was taken there. And those are areas where you're in a desert country, conflict ridden, literally desert. And as I was packing my bag, the thought in my mind was, what am I going to eat there? There's not much. There's even local people don't have very much. But so I packed a few bags of peanuts because that was what was available in the capital city at the time. Even things were not so easily available, and some packets of sugar crystals, flavored sugar crystals that you put in water. I said, "Dekha jayega, we'll see. I'll get there. We'll see. Something will arrange itself." And with this faith, and not even, I wasn't even worried about anything. I just jumped into the whole scenario, the whole picture. I said, we'll see what happens. And got on the plane, arrived at my destination. I was put in a container housing, the shipping containers that were converted into little cubicles, and you would live in those, because in these conflict areas, anytime you have to pack up and go if something happens. So I had my own little container, and I was just unpacking, and there was a knock on the door. And it was somebody from the Mongolian military, the forces. He came and he says, "Oh," they knew that I was coming there, and he says, "Our commander would like to meet with you." So I said, "Okay, just give me a minute." So I jumped into the jeep. I went with him and met the army commander over there, and he welcomed me very nicely and asked me what he could do for me. So I said, "Look, I'm here for a few weeks. I'm vegetarian. Can you arrange for some fruit and some juice for me?" Because I didn't know what else I would get. So lo and behold, this huge container of apples and oranges, whatever they had in the army canteen, it arrived for me. So much so that I had to send some of it back because it was more than what I could use in those few days. And then thereafter, every day, every meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner, they would send somebody to pick me up and take me to the mess. And the chef in the army mess, he would make one vegetarian soup for me every day, for every meal. With whatever they had, whatever few ingredients they had, they made those arrangements for me. So that was one base where I was really taken care of. Then I went to the next army base. It was another few thousand kilometers away, and it was even more desert over there, more difficult. And again, no idea where I was going to eat, what I was going to eat. And I got out of my room the first day, and I see a Nepalese military official walking towards me, Nepalese lady. And she greeted me, she welcomed me, and she says, "What are you doing for lunch?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "Follow me." So she took me to the army base, army camp mess over there. And there was a whole buffet of, Nepalese food, which is more or less like Indian food. Chawal, dal, sabzi, achar, everything was there. And I sat, and at that point it hit me. Like, what are the odds that I'm in the middle of a desert in Central Africa, in a conflict-ridden area, and I'm having a buffet of Indian food right in front of me? What are the odds of this? How if this is not a miracle, then what is? And then in that moment, she said to me, "Didi, do you want kheer?" I said, "What?" She said, "Do you want kheer?" And she brought me a katori of kheer. And then I started, like tears started, flowing from my face. I remembered a story that Gurudev had told us, some teachers, years ago in a teachers meet. He 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 was talking to some teachers, and he was saying, when you work for me, when you do my work, I will take care of all your needs and wants and wishes. I will even feed you kheer in the desert. Those were his words. And of course, that time, nothing registered, it just went over my head. But in this moment, when I was sitting in the middle of a desert with the bowl of kheer in my hand, it clicked. Like, oh, this is what he meant. Then I remembered that story. And that was a moment where I experienced, like, oh, this is what grace is about. Guru Kripa, this is what it is. Like, you have total faith, you're totally relying on the unmanifest, on the unseen. You're just there, available to do the work, to serve, and you're being taken care of. Yeah. And like this, there have been many such incidences when I have been in very sort of tricky situations, even dangerous situations, life-threatening situations. But somehow he takes care and gets you out of that situation.
If you can share some of those incidents, life-threatening
life-threatening.
incidences.
Well, there was one of the Libya conflicts was happening, had just started, and I was um, at the departure lounge in Khartoum, in Sudan's capital, and I was leaving from that airport, and I was sitting there, and there were people around me that, expats from various different embassies, different countries, who were evacuating. And they were saying, oh, the bombings have started in Libya and the airport's going to close very soon. This airport where I was sitting. And I was like, oh God, Guruji, just get me out of here so I can go home, just in time. And everything worked out. It was very dicey, and it was just our flight happened to be the last one to leave, and then the airports shut down. And there was another incident I remember in Haiti. I was in Haiti and the Caribbean. We were doing YLTPs over there at that time, and some other conflict was internally brewing, and foreigners were being targeted. So the organizers were telling us to leave before things could get even worse. The riots were starting. And they got us into a taxi, and we were heading for the airport. And just as we arrived at the airport, got inside, the door shut and the riots started. So much so that our taxi driver had to leave his car on the roadside and walk home because they were burning down all the cars. So it was just like by fraction minutes, getting out of these situations. So like this, you start to you recognize that that umbrella of grace is there with you, right? It's taking care. It doesn't mean that you become reckless and not alert and not informed. No, not at all. You do whatever you need to do, stay informed and alert and work intelligently, but you know that Gurudev is looking after. He will take care. Yeah.
Didi, you have taught courses in such areas, like people don't usually prefer to go there. So, and that's why we look after to Art of Living teachers. They are the real heroes of the society, and They are the real change makers, and that's why we say they are instruments of Gurudev. Didi, Gurudev have said once this line when in his early childhood days that people are waiting for me. So Didi, this line it has came to your experience so many times that people are waiting for me. So when you went there and people experienced it, what was their reaction?
Yeah, but
And
same thing, Abhishek. That grace is all pervading. You know, it touches every soul that I have taught, and I think every one of us here can experience it, has experienced it. You know, when you do your Sudarshan Kriya for the first time, you learn Sahaj Samadhi for the first time, you meet Guruji or even see Guruji or even hear Guruji for the first time, even if it's not in person, something shifts. Something deep inside of you suddenly gets connected, right? And this experience is universal. Doesn't matter which country I've been in, which culture I've taught in, which religious group I've taught to, which ethnic group, doesn't matter. They experience it. They are all, experience. They may not know how to convey it, how to express it, but they all experience that deep love and peace and connection and getting in touch with oneself, I would say. And that's how, if they're not familiar with Gurudev, if something new to them, that's how they express it. For in countries where there has been so much conflict and that's the normal, even like half a minute of samadhi, that glimpse of samadhi or total stillness or the no mind, is a big revelation. What we may take for granted, what many of us may take for granted, in places where the normal is to live in trauma and stress moment to moment, not knowing what's going to happen next breath, those few moments are so precious and so magnified for them, and the gratitude is very much there. Yeah. So yeah, they, that sense of gratitude and reverence for what they're receiving, that is much more than what I have seen, in other parts of the world where things are relatively smooth and okay, because that contrast is there. They recognize, wow, this is possible, there's a possibility here, I can be happy. There's that gratitude, immense gratitude. Yeah.
Didi, I've heard your one story and in your video, and that really moved me because there was one woman she encountered with a rebellious group, and that face was coming in front of her, and she was unable to sleep, and after doing the kriya she slept.
Yeah.
It, yes.
So many stories
And
like this, Abhishek,
if you
this
can
is it,
share some.
every course, every course, it's the same thing. Trauma gets relieved, some sense of peace, serenity dawns, glimpse of serenity, glimpse of what's possible, glimpse of stillness, and then that's it. For many years, I used to, when I was going to some of these places, starting things from scratch, from new, and then leaving, I would wonder, okay, now what's going to happen to these people? Because not everywhere had teachers, not everywhere had a volunteer base that would continue to stay in contact and you know do kriya with the groups and all that. Many places are like that still. So I would wonder, like, okay, so they've experienced this, I've given them introduce them to the Kriya, to Gurudev, now what's going to happen to them? But you can't think like that, because they are looked after. They are looked after somewhere, somehow. They get reconnected to the knowledge in some form or the other. I met somebody, I had done a course in Rwanda, and I met that one of the girls from the course in Montreal years later, years later. And she came back, she did the course again, and then went on to do seva for the ashram and so forth. So you don't know from where, who gets connected in their timeline, in their life, what brings them back into the knowledge, how the knowledge pulls them back again. So there again, faith comes, right? Having faith that you're planting the seeds, that you're bringing something precious, and those seeds will sprout when they will sprout. Yeah.
And that's why the motto behind doing this all sessions is like, today the world is connected with internet, and this story and this conversation, they again get connected to Gurudev, and they again start following this path, this amazing path. Didi, I just like to ask you, you have been doing seva for so many years. Why a volunteer should reach people? Why volunteering is so much important? Because generally people do the kriya, they feel nice, and they keep it up to themselves. Why we should means they can tell more or less few family members, but Gurudev is also telling we should become teachers. And if you can tell people the means uh, the benefits of volunteering, or I can say why volunteering is so much needed with this time.
See, there's nothing you're going to take away from this life. Our time here is so short, and if you're really truly living living with the knowledge that Gurudev has given us, somewhere some sort of dispassion dawns on you. That really there's nothing you can take away from here, and there's nothing that really gives you that much joy in the end. Maybe temporarily you will enjoy doing something, you will indulge in something that you like, you would like to eat sweet things, you like to watch movies, whatever, but at the end of the day you get bored of all of that. You learn that, okay, kar liya, ye sab kar liya, this done, got the t-shirt, now what? Some maturity, when maturity dawns in you, you realize there's much more to life than just taking and the mundane day-to-day eating, sleeping, working sort of way of existence. There's much more that we haven't even begun to scratch the surface of, we haven't begun to tap into. And that's when this feeling in you, this deep wanting to give back, to society, that yearning comes in you. Like, what can I do? Okay, I'm comfortable, my comfort has, everything I've needed in my life is being provided to me. Now what? If you stay stuck at that level, that's very immature existence. But when you realize, okay, there's much more to you that you can put to use to uplift others, to take care of others, you need not become a teacher. I don't, it's not necessary. But in some way or the other, in some capacity, in whatever way is possible for you, to reach out to others to see how you can make things better for them. That is where we need to the way we need to think, to shift our thinking, like not all about me, but now, okay, let me see what I can do. Before this breath leaves my body, before I drop this body, what have I done really? How much have I done in this life to make things better for others? That is what counts. You know, how much happiness, like Guruji says, how much love have you given? How much knowledge have you gained? This is what will count. So when that maturity in you dawns, then you know that, okay, you're here to for much more than just taking things for yourself and satisfying your own needs and wishes. That you're here for a bigger cause. Isn't it? What do you say? Yeah.
Absolutely, Didi. Didi, when I'm talking about the journey of a volunteer, means when we tell them to do seva, they are very excited and then they progress in the path of volunteering. But there are difficulties also, like there are some kind of clashes because so many people are involved whenever we do something. And you are sitting in the position, you are president of Art of Living Foundation in Canada. So how do you deal with the people politics?
You have
And
to.
when
You have no choice. People means politics, right? The more number of minds, bigger the sangha, more you need to stay connected to yourself, right? This is ultimately where we're going. And this is what, Gurudev puts us in these positions, in these places, so we can work on ourselves, so we can become stronger and more solid and more founded within ourselves. It's not about the other people. It's about where you are at, right? So how focused are you on what you need to do, on your task, on your project, on the seva that you're doing, and how established are you within yourself? That is what ultimately, that is the yogi. A yogi is who? Yogi is not someone who's sitting on a mountain in isolation and meditating by themselves. Today, a yogi's work is you be in the society, you be in the politics, you be in the sphere of all the human dynamics, and you continue to focus on the ultimate. And you continue to serve. This is the modern day yogi. Right? And yoga teaches
yes,
you that. Keeping the balance of mind, keeping equanimity, staying steady. Who is this?
yes.
This is another, another lesson that Guruji taught me years ago. How much time do we have?
We have time. We have 15 minutes.
Yeah. So I was upset many years back. I was upset about something. Mind was really disturbed, and I wanted to just drop everything, quit everything. And I went to Guruji. And what do you think he said to me? He said, "You have not given importance to the knowledge." He scolded me. It was the biggest scolding from him that I got. You have not given importance to the knowledge. And then he blasted me here, there, there. And at the end of this scolding, he said to me, he said, "Apne aap mein mast raho. Apne aap mein mast raho." Become established in yourself and be happy, contented within yourself. That was his ultimate one line he gave to me. And I've held on to that. The dynamics, the metrics of of life are such that you're going to experience all kinds of people, all kinds of situations, all kinds of injustices. There will be people who will support you, there will be people who will pull you down, there will be people who will you know move things, help you move forward, there will be people who will want to pull you back. It's like that. And unless you see the reality of all this, you cannot rise above all this. And that's what the knowledge is there for, right? So living in all of this duality, in all of the ups and downs, the good, the bad, you remain established, you remain anchored, you remain connected, and you keep the faith that only the best will happen to you. Kicking or screaming, if anybody was to ask me, what has been your experience over the last 20 odd years, it hasn't been smooth, it hasn't been rosy, it hasn't been all, cushy cushy. No, far from it, far from it. So many challenges, so many obstacles, so many moments where I've wanted to just run away. But run away where? There's nowhere to run to. Run away from whom? From yourself? There's nowhere. Ultimately, sab kar kur ke, ghuma fira ke, you're back in the... It's Guruji. That's all that I care about. That connection. Eh? Meaning, not the physical, but meaning the knowledge. Meaning the wisdom. Meaning the intelligence that guides life. That is where you need to look, instead of getting distracted with the chaos and all the things pulling you away from yourself. You look inward, and that is again faith.
Yes, Didi. Didi, there are a few questions also coming in YouTube. And
go ahead.
Siddhi is asking, she's asking two questions. She's asking, these days I have started doubting Guru, how to come out of it? And another question she is asking, I have to do my hard work in the material world, then what's the role of Guru in my life?
Doubting Guru means it's your own mind stuff. It's your own mind, games in the mind, the thoughts that you're getting stuck in, right? So doubt, question, don't fight it. The worst thing you're going to do is to fight it and question yourself and beat yourself about it. Be with it. Be with it, and you will see the whole thing shifts at some point. It's nothing but your own mind. Illusions that it creates, concepts that it's created and built. Doubting Guru means you're doubting yourself, because there's no real difference. It's not, and when I talk about Guru, I'm not talking about the physical form there. I'm talking about the Guru principle, the unseen, the unmanifest, the knowledge. So when you're not connected to that, all kinds of mind things arise, and it's part of this process of evolution. And it's good to be with it. Allow it. Recognize and be with it. Be witness to it, and it will shift. And what was the second question? Being in the material world. What was it, Abhishek?
And the second question was, I have to do my hard work in the material world. So what's the role of Guru in my life?
So again, Guru is not this physical form. Guru is the wisdom. You cannot survive in any sphere of life without wisdom, can you? Huh? In any job you have, in any work you're doing, do you want to do it in a state of mind where you're unhappy, not at peace with yourself, not connected? That's what this is about. So the role of the Guru is to make you see things from a bigger perspective, to keep your mind free from stresses, from the unnecessary, unwanted things that arise in the mind, and to keep you plugged in and connected to that which is bigger. And there's no difference whether you're in this, I don't even understand how you can make that distinction between the material world and the spiritual world. It's the same thing. You cannot have one and not the other. They coexist. You need to work, you need to take care of your responsibilities in your day-to-day life, uh, in order to do or achieve whatever it is you need to achieve. But what state of mind are you in as you are doing that? Are you disturbed? Is it cluttered? Are you experiencing freedom while you're doing it, or are you stressed while you're doing it? And Guru is there to take you from that state of clutter towards that state of freedom. Right? That's the wisdom. You cannot, you can live without wisdom, but you will struggle. You will struggle in life. Many people do, but you choose what's easier for you, to live in wisdom, in a state where you feel expanded and free and joyful and enthusiastic from within, or do you feel completely bogged down in life and day-to-day life becomes a struggle? You choose.
Yes,
Guru bina gati nahi, as they say.
yes.
Yeah, Abhishek.
Didi, absolutely. Guru bina gati nahi. Because when we have a master, then we have his 5 knowledge points. We have so many things he have taught us, and that always brings us in a very secure position in life, where we know how to deal with the challenges. There is one more question. There's one YouTuber, I guess, Sincere Seeker. He is just acknowledging, I have done course with you, Didi, and the experience was amazing. And the person is writing that she is full of compassion and love. And there's one question from him: how can I deepen my sadhana and progress in this path? The question you have written.
What is the question?
How can I deepen my sadhana and progress in this path?
Just simply by letting go. Just keep doing. Don't judge yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Be compassionate to yourself. Okay, so you do for a little while, and then your sadhana drops, you get lazy or whatever. Things get in the way and you're not consistent with it. Just jump back onto the start again. Start again. Keep doing. Keep doing. So main thing is compassion towards yourself, but at the same time don't be lazy. Yeah. Don't say, oh, when I have time, one day, somewhere in the future, I'll do it. When life provides me the opportunities, then I'll do. No, that's not what we're saying. Make the effort and then let go. Make the effort, keep doing, be consistent. Consistency is key. Deepening sadhana requires consistency. Yeah, in the Yoga Sutras also it says continuous effort without a break, without a pause, then you start to see some kind of progress. If you leave a gap, then you do one day and then don't do for 3 days and then come and do your kriya again. It's not going to allow that development or the what even the connections in your neural pathways, the brain and all that. It doesn't happen so quickly. The modifications, the changes in your own nervous system, they don't happen. So consistency is the key. Be consistent, don't beat yourself up, be gentle, and find a support group, sangha. That's why you need a sangha. If it's not easy for you to do it on your own, if you find that your practice drops, get in touch with your teachers, find the local chapter. Nowadays everything is online, so it's so easily accessible. So do the practice as a group. Find a group that will sustain your practice. Yeah.
Didi, there is one more question which is coming. Can we do Kriya every day in Gurudev's voice? Because his voice is very deep and sweet.
No, that is done only with your teacher's guidance once a week. Yeah. And then you do your daily Kriya on your own.
Yeah. Yes. There's one more question coming, Didi, in chat. Amrita is asking, what is the eligibility and efficiency for being a Art of Living teacher?
Eligibility, you just have to have that desire to serve, right? The desire to serve and do something good in society. Efficiency, I don't really understand what you mean by that. Maybe you mean the time commitment required, I don't know. But you do whatever is practical for you in your sphere of life. Yeah. Whatever is possible for you. Yeah.
There's one more question.
Yeah, just one other thing. Don't compare yourself to anybody. Never. Right? You are unique. You have qualities that you have, that you've been bestowed with to share with the world. You trust in that. Right? Don't compare yourself with anybody and try and be somebody or emulate another teacher or want to be like some. No. We're all the only person whom you want to aspire towards is him. Right? The rest of us are all learning our lessons and going through our own stuff. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. There's one more question coming on YouTube. Who is a strong yogi?
A strong yogi, someone who can maintain that balance of mind and peace of mind in all situations. All ups and downs of life can remain centered and be available for others and be full of love and compassion. Yeah. Gurudev. he's the one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful, Didi. Now, just like to open this forum, I kept everyone on mute. If you would like to say something, Sudha Didi, anything you want to say, please.
Yeah, excellent, amazing session. My only one question is that is it necessary to be a teacher to save? Because I am more comfortable with being a volunteer.
That's perfectly fine. That's
okay.
Perfectly fine.
Okay.
It's not necessary to be teacher to serve. No.
You explained too good. You explain in such a nice way. It sounds very easy to listen to you, but while facing practically, it's very difficult. It's not that easy as you are saying. Always being the politics is on means sometimes you feel like quitting also to go to that extent, and then to come back to normal, it's difficult. So, is that any situation arise for you like that? Any point of time did
all
you?
The time, all the time, Sudha, all the time. But then at the end of the day, I turn around and say, well, where am I going to go? There's nowhere. There's only Guruji. For me, everything is about him, right?
Yeah.
So I'm ready to face it. Sometimes it's not easy. Many times it's not easy. You want to pack up and run, but there's no, like I said earlier, there's nowhere to run to. When you really look at it, where will you run to? From your own self, your own mind. Where? Ultimately, you come back to The same place.
Where you
You know,
started again.
where you started again. So your focus, the only thing that keeps pulling me, bringing me back is the focus on Guruji. And that's the only thing that will keep you afloat. When you're drowning in all of that, just remember him, remembering the bigger cause, remembering what you're really here for, then, and putting aside all of the other nonsense.
Yeah.
And focusing on what you need to do.
Lot of comparing comes, Didi, that makes more down, you
Makes it
feel
very,
down.
and that's why I said earlier, never compare, never compare.
Yeah.
Right? That's your downfall. And then if you start doing that, then doubts come, then judgment comes. Judgment not about others, but judgment about yourself as well.
Self,
Right?
yeah.
And all these things pull you down. Right? And they are not conducive to growth. They're not conducive to your progress on the path. So you have to drop all of this stuff, all of this stuff. And until you have, he will keep putting you in again in situations where you have to face your own demons. Yeah.
Very nice. Amazing session, Dee. Thanks a lot. Jai Gurudev.
Jai
Yes.
Gurudev. Yeah.
Didi, there are so many questions coming up. We will just take one question, last question. Harshita ji is asking, is Gurudev listening to our prayers even if I have never met him?
Yes, most definitely. Your prayers are heard, and I have so many experiences of this. Your prayers are heard.
It's wonderful, Didi. Didi, we have came to the end part of the session, and this 1 hour was blissful. And I just request everyone who is watching this on YouTube live and watching it on Zoom, you can just share this session to all the devotees and all the people you know, so that they can also get more connected in this path. And this guru still, like Didi told, like there are many places where they are not having a sangha, and they are not having such a group where they can talk. They don't have teachers also. But in this era of internet, we can share these sessions to those people. They can connect in this virtual medium, and we do these sessions daily. We have not missed a single day from past 1.5 year. So you can also subscribe this channel so that you can get connected in this sangha, where we listen to the journey of teachers. We get some bites of wisdom, and we see the bigger picture, because Heart of Living is such a vast organization. It's really difficult to gauge. And Didi, at last, I would just like to ask you any last words you want to say, or any call for action you want to give to all the people who are watching this on YouTube, or maybe in the coming weeks or coming days, they will watch this video. So any last words or call for action for all of us?
I would say just, relax. I would say relax. Relax about everything. This was another lesson from Guruji. It took me, in the early days in satsang, he used to use this word a lot. Relax, just relax, And I never really registered. I heard the word, but it would never really register with me. What exactly does he? Yeah, he means relax, but what does he actually mean by relax? It didn't. But I think with time, it's beginning to make sense, the actual meaning of what he means behind it. You need to let go. You need to let go, and that's the first thing. Whatever it is, just witness it and let it go. And the second thing is, find ways in which, in whatever way, whatever your schedule, day-to-day schedule looks like, find a few minutes to do something positive and uplifting for others. If you have more time available to you, do it. If you have less time available to you, don't use it as an excuse not to serve, not to do anything. Stop making excuses, is what I would say. Stop telling yourself stories, because we're very good at that also, finding all sorts of bahanas. So stop convincing yourselves with your own stories that I don't have time and this, my life is too busy with this, that, the other. Yeah, those things will always be there. But the opportunity to serve and to do something good for society takes you higher. These are stepping stones towards your own growth. Right? So make time for it. Make time in any way capacity you have. And you will see that with time, more you engage into seva, into some form of good work, more life will open opportunities for you in many other ways, right? So do some good is what I would say. So 2 things: relax and do some seva, some good work. Yes?
Yes, Didi, yes. We will actually implement it, and in 24 hours we have, obviously we all have some time, and we would do seva
And one more thing I would
make
add
us
to
smile.
that. One more thing I would add
Yes.
is start to feel good about yourself. Feel good about yourself. Recognize that you're here, you're under, Guruji is guiding us, that we are here together in this life under the umbrella of a guru, of a living master. I mean, what else do you want in life? What else really matters? Right? So much has been given, and the ultimate is here with you. So feel good about yourself. Okay? And stay in touch.
Wonderful.
I'm on Facebook, on
Thank you so
Instagram.
much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was
Yes,
really
yes.
good to be here with you all. Yeah. Jai Gurudev.
Thank you so much, Didi. The session was really blissful, and whosoever will watch this session, they will get into that mode of bhakti, and means he will get connected to the path. And thank you so much, Didi.